Looked at my sister's body while she was sleeping. Warning, some audiences may find this content disturbing. View at your own discretion. Welcome to the House of Reddit. Today, we share some recent r/confessions posted on Reddit. Looked at my sister's body while she was sleeping. As most other young boys, I was very horny right around the age I became a teenager. I had watched porn in some way since I was 11. I was curious about the female body and fantasied a fair bit about sex, as most teenagers do. This might have been when I was about 12 to 13, my sister was 3 years younger than me. I do not look at my sister in a sexual way, and did not generally do at the time either. Our family would sometimes sleep away, and one time me and my sister would share a bed for the night. I was really curious about the female body, so I waited until I was totally sure she was deep asleep, and tried to take a peek under her clothes. I think I did this maybe 3 times total throughout maybe 1 year or a bit more than that. I remember one time I was going to but didn't because she woke up. I do not think I ever touched her, and I am quite sure she does not know anything about this. I knew what I did was wrong and felt bad about it, but I don't think I knew how wrong it really was. I have now deeply regretted doing it for many years, and feel disgusted with myself for being or previously being capable of doing such a thing. I don't remember why I stopped. It may have been because I felt too bad about it, or never getting a good opportunity, but probably because of both reasons. I have however now for a long time been disgusted whenever I think about it. One thing I think may have made it easier for me to do is porn. There is a lot of porn with the theme sister and stepsister. I don't know if I had been influenced by this normalizing the thought back then, but it may be so. I get that this does not make it normal, but it does give a little bit more of an explanation. Sometimes I wonder if I'm actually in a coma and all the weird shit fantasy. When I was 12, my parents being geniuses got me an adult-sized motorbike. One day I accidentally drove it into a barbed wire fence that caused my helmet to come off and knocked me out. The thing is, despite the gifts, my parents are trash parents and never went looking for me or took me to the hospital when I made it home. Since then my life feels like a daze. The people I talk to, I can't tell if they like me or not. I started having sex when I was 18 and honestly I can't really feel anything then. When I was like 19 I started randomly getting sharp pains in my ass. A doctor told me they're spasms in my asshole. I get the logical aspects, but I occasionally think I never work up and might be getting raped by a career. The people I meet in my life are people passing by my room that I'm subconsciously aware of in my coma. A lot of strange stuff has happened in my life and I wanted to get a brain scan, but the doctor wouldn't let me because he said there wasn't a reason to. I'm worried there might be brain damage or parasites from cats in my brain if I'm not in a coma. I occasionally come up with unexplainable bruises and scratches. I also wonder if people are real or not. I don't think I'm paranoid and people are out to get me, except one person, but I do think a lot of people are annoying and unrealistic. I've some incidents in my life that made me question my reality, like last year a coworker decided he likes me a lot more than I thought, then he stalked me, did a lot of weird shit, and sent me creepy gifts. Later I went through a whole load of bullshit with police and court systems. The police accused me of enticing him and being in a romantic relationship with him, yet I literally woke up to him patting my head through my bedroom window, which was terrifying. I thought he was going to murder me, which he tried to tell me he wasn't going to murder me. As if that was going to be reassuring with all the stuff he was doing that generally gives you the impression that someone might murder you. When I was working I felt like my hag of supervisor was preventing me from gaining new skills, like I wanted to learn things in administration while I worked in the hospitality part of my workplace. The admin manager and my hospitality manager were cool with it, where I was going to do the training in my own time after work, so my supervisor kept changing all my shifts to PM so the office would be closed after work. Then when I wanted to learn how to take apart and assemble equipment so I can clean and fix it, learn how to work in the bar, she would make it impossible or look for excuses so I couldn't. I eventually quit because I wasn't going to play these stupid games. Later I actually got several interviews in a 2-month span, indicating I'm not completely useless, but it's odd that it happened so quickly when I was trying to get interviews in other places for like a year. My neighbors are also strange to me. I don't talk to my family anymore because I don't like them even if they're not real. Meanwhile my psychologist thinks I'm hypersensitive and wants me to go on antidepressants. I'm not going on antidepressants because they make me physically ill. My younger brother used to watch me while using the toilet. I was totally mortified when he told me. He only told me this a few weeks ago and I'm still having difficulty wrapping my head around it. It was bad enough that he confessed all this, but he went into all kinds of disgusting detail. Let me just stop to say I'm not sure exactly why he told me this. I really wish he'd have kept it a secret, since I'd have been so much happier in ignorance. He told me he caught me on the toilet the first time early this year because when the bathroom door is closed there's a small space where you can still see in. The first time he watched me I was peeing, but he said it made him curious what it looked like when I did other things. I must have looked pretty upset because he got more nervous. He said he would wait until I went to the bathroom after school and sneak up to the door to watch. I felt like someone punched me in the stomach, I was so upset. I started crying and he tried to hug me, but I pushed him away. Now, I really wish I didn't ask him what I asked him next, but I was very upset and I just blurted out, "What else did you see me do?" And he said he saw me when I peed and times when I pooped and at least one time when I changed a tampon. He tried to make a joke that at least I have a nice ass, or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I burst into tears and he got real serious again. He said he stopped watching me a month or so ago, but I don't believe him. He seemed relieved to tell me all this, like it would make everything right somehow, and that made me so upset I slapped him and locked myself in my room before I could think about what I was doing. I heard him come by the door, so I went inside my closet and shut the closet door. I guess I was scared that he could see me somehow. I feel so upset, and I know this sounds crazy, but I feel like he can see me all the time. I can only use the bathroom now when he's not home, and I've changed my shower schedule so it's when he's not around. I thought I knew my brother, but now I feel like he's a stranger, and I've had nightmares almost every night that he raped me. I told my bestie what happened and she lets me come over to get away from him if I need to. As far as I know, he didn't see me do anything like masturbate, since I think he'd have mentioned that too. I haven't really spoken to him since he told me, and I think our mom knows something major happened, but we've had sibling fights before and she probably thinks it's just that. I really hope he isn't watching her too, because now I can't rule anything out. I'm upset and angry and paranoid and tired. Sorry for the rambling. I gambled away the money my dad worked hard for. I, 19, have begun my undergrad studies last year. I come from a working class family and we haven't inherited any wealth and lived pretty much paycheck to paycheck till I left for college. My dad works extremely hard to provide for me and my family, and so does my mom. My dad then gave me around 7,000 euros before I started college this year to help me with my rent, insurance and food. That is supposed to last me a whole year, as student dorms are pretty cheap here and my uni fees has already been paid for. I started gambling around 3 months ago with 7,000 euros in my account. It only started as a fun thing to do with friends. I lost around 300 euros in the first week and thought I'll leave gambling for good. However, I just wanted to get back whatever I lost and leave. And so it began. It spiraled out of control and I was losing money every day. It got so bad that I'd spend my whole day on the gambling website trying to just make back whatever I lost. I wasn't having fun doing it. I had to do it cause I couldn't ask my dad for any more money as he was already under a massive debt. Couldn't be burdened with any more stress. And finally it came, the day I'd been dreading since the beginning. I couldn't deposit any more money in the gambling site. I was devastated and I still am. I didn't have the heart to do it, but I had to ask my dad for more money. I lied to him about what happened to the money. I told him I'd have access to it in a few weeks. He trusted me and sent me 2,000 euros more. I just wanted to make back whatever I lost and tried to gamble again. Then I fucked up big time. I lost all the money again yesterday, when I blew it all up gambling. I'm planning to come clean to my dad. I don't know how he's gonna take it. It will break his trust and disappoint him a lot. I'm terrified of what's going to happen after I tell him. I destroyed my social life the past few months. I have been on gambling sites like a degenerate all day long and I ignored my friends. I feel malnourished as I don't even have enough money to eat thrice a day. This is the first time I'm sharing this and I wanted this burden off my chest. Just please don't gamble with anything more than the amount you can lose. It broke me apart after all that and I don't know what I'm going to do now. I hope I can make it up to my dad. He's my hero and the fact that I did it to such a pure person breaks my heart. My grandfather bullied me into developing an eating disorder. My grandfather has always been very unfiltered with every opinion he's ever had. He's a super conservative Christian, he's a preacher too, so anything different from his conservative Christian beliefs are wrong and he'll let you know what he thinks whether you asked or not. When I was younger, like around 8 to 9 years old, I realized he was just flat out mean. He would make comments about what I was eating, what I was drinking, he'd make awful comments about my weight, and it was literally like he was just trying to make me feel self-conscious. I was a little chubbier than kids my age, but I wasn't obese. I was pretty average even as a chubby kid. It only got worse as I got older. He would make comments about me growing up to be an old hag because I didn't cook, want to learn how to cook, or already know how to cook. He said if I could, I should marry rich since I'm not that smart, and he believed I'd struggle in college. When I was about 13, it only ever got worse. Like worse than worse. I remember my mom brought up me wanting to wear makeup, and he genuinely asked me, in front of my mother and grandmother, "Are you trying to be sexy for boys?" They didn't say anything. I told him that was weird that he said that, and I got scolded. He would hold on to my ankles or my wrists and laugh while I struggled and tried to squirm out of his grip. He did this in front of my mom and grandma, and again, they did and said nothing. I'd get the occasional "leave her alone" by my grandma, which he never listened to. It made me incredibly uncomfortable. It got to the point where I'd avoid him as much as possible. I would even stand at their breakfast bar counter, and he would stand right behind me to the point where I knew he was intentionally pressing onto me from behind. When I would move, he'd get confused and say, "I was just looking at what you were doing." But it didn't feel right. After that started happening, I wouldn't even want to be alone with him. My grandma would tell me to bring coffee to his garage/shed, and I'd avoid it any way I could. And during this time the weight comments got worse. He would make fun of what I would eat, drink, wear, and so on. I was eating too much, I was gaining weight, I was bigger than such and such person, you get the idea. So I started not eating as much. I started secretly exercising. I developed an eating disorder, and although I believe I would have ended up with an eating disorder with or without him, I definitely think he made it so much worse. He still makes these comments to this day. I don't know if I'm overreacting to everything I experienced or if he genuinely just fucked me up some. I've grown to love and find humor in a strange scar. So when I was 16, I was mauled by a pit bull that latched onto the first part of me that was eye level, which happened to be basically my crotch. The pit bull really bit furiously and shook me around, etc., and when I finally broke free, I had to be taken to the ER. It took the doctors, yes several, at least an hour to figure out how to stitch up the injury, which was a fairly sizable bloody open gash just a centimeter or so above my vulva and clitoris. In a light-hearted voice, one doctor happily noted that my vagina and every important organ around it were thankfully completely unscathed other than a few light scratches. She promised would heal, and she said with a hint of humor that had the bite an inch lower I may have lost all orgasmic function, and she was glad I was so lucky. At the time I was a crying mess and couldn't find anything to laugh about, even if I appreciated that my parts had been spared by those dangerous teeth. Well, the injury healed up without any complications, except that it left a cute arrow-shaped scar about an inch in width right above my junk that is fairly visible and grows no hair over it. Now that the trauma of the incident is long over, I kind of love that stupid scar. For one, it's a great story, and for another, it's kind of like a free sexy body mod. It gives my body a cool story and a unique detail like a tattoo or a unique piercing, and aside from that tiny scar, I don't suffer from the incident at all. There were no other lasting effects. I like to think of fun made-up stories for the next person who will discover just to freak them out as a fun prank, like that maybe I have some bizarre or extreme fetish that left that scar, or it's a matching scar with my ex, or the mark of sex cult. Just nonsense, because scars around the parts are just naturally so perplexing. It's not a place we tend to get ripped open wounds on or etc. It's dumb, but I love that stupid thing. It's my fun secret with a wild story attached. It makes my body memorable. Anyway, I didn't know where to put this because it's such a strange thing, but now you know. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.